Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make a wicked simple chicken and dumpling recipe. I love chicken and dumplings, although I've never made it. And I said this is wicked simple. I don't know, we're making it up, or I should say I'm making it up as I go along because I've never made chicken and dumplings. I love them. Typically we'd have them if we've, a couple times in our life, we've traveled, we've driven south. We've driven from New England to Florida and Georgia and some points in between. And we have driven a couple times. So as we've gone, passed along the highways, we've stopped at diners and so on and I've gotten chicken and dumplings. I don't know, hon, will you like chicken and dumplings? But I don't know if you ever ordered it, did you?
No.
Yeah. He thinks he's never had it, which he probably didn't. He's tasted it if I've had it. But anyway, I love it. So I was looking for a nice, warm, comforting meal for this midway point of the winter. And I thought, oh, chicken and dumplings. I've never done them. I've always wanted to make them. So anyway, started looking on YouTube. Of course, found thousands of different recipes for chicken and dumplings, and I've kind of settled on two. One from Paula Deen, which Wade will put a link up on the screen up there, and then from another YouTube channel provider, which I can't remember her name, but we'll put it up there too. Anyway, this is kind of a combination of the two. Paula Deen used vegetables in hers along with the stock and the dumplings. It had, if I remember correctly, carrots and celery and onions. We are going to use a little bit of onions, but to me that's chicken soup. So then you get just chicken soup with dumplings. Now in Paula Deen's, she used a rotisserie chicken, and the other one that I have kind of borrowed from, she boiled a whole chicken, which we're not going to do that, but we're going to do kind of a combination of the two different methods. So, of course, the easiest is if you do a rotisserie chicken, because then all you got to do is, take off the skin and the fat and shred it. It's all done. So, but what we're going to do, instead of boiling a whole chicken and then having to debone it and so on and so forth, I've got about 3.5 pounds of chicken. I've got just about 2 pounds of chicken breasts and 2 pounds of skinless, boneless thighs. Of course, the chicken breast is skinless and boneless as well. I'm going to need one more ingredient. Be right back. Forgot. We're going to need some butter. Although we're not going to use that right at the moment. But we're going to need about a half a stick of butter. So let's put that out over there because that's when we're going to need it. All right, so again, with using the skinless and boneless, we're not going to get the best flavored from a stock, so we're going to use some already made stock, but we're going to flavor this up a little bit with, and on this, the other one, I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name. It's the minute I saw that she used Tony's Creole seasoning, I said, oh, we got to make this one. So she didn't say how much. So again, I'm kind of just adjusting all of this. I'm going to make it like this today, and then we'll adjust it in the recipe. But I'm going to start out with a teaspoon. All right, so we're going to need some, if you'd like, some Tony's Creole seasoning. We need onion powder. These are kind of all basics. We need garlic powder. And we're going to put a little bit of ground sage in, which will give that little bit of familiar, almost kind of stuffy taste. And we're going to need some thyme. And of course you need some salt and pepper, right? What is life without salt and pepper? Now, as I mentioned, we're going to use some prepared stock. Now, I don't know, was it the last recipe? It was the beef brisket, which was absolutely delicious. I used the collagen in beef beef broth, but the bone broth. And it was quite good. I'll have to give them kudos, although we don't get anything for saying it. But Collagen Inn, if you want to advertise with us, feel free to call. But anyway, I haven't tasted the chicken, and I don't have my own chicken stock. Now, if I had my own enough chicken stock, I'd use my own chicken stock. But based on the beef, if the bone broth for the chicken as good as the beef. It should be good. All right, so we're going to need 32 ounces. So we're going to need a total of 8 cups for this recipe. All right, we're going to do drop biscuits, opposed to what some of you might have seen in that restaurant that as you're traveling up and down to the highways, serves chicken and dumplings. They use what's called a flat dumpling. We're going to do a drop dumpling. Much, much easier. And for those of you that have spent any time with us, you know I have a fear of having to roll out dough. So anyway, in this case, we don't have to roll them out, and it looks like it's really easy. We're going to need some milk to put in our biscuit mix. And we're going to put a little bit of onion in our final gravy or our broth, and we're going to do some butter. All right, again, I just wanted to show you what we're going to use. That will all be in the recipe. So in this case, I've got 1 teaspoon of the creole, garlic, onion, and then 1/2 teaspoon of everything else. Now, we're not actually making our broth, but we have to cook our chicken. So I've got, I filled this pot of water about halfway, only because I wanted to start to get it warmed. Wasn't sure how much the chicken would, I didn't want the pot to overflow, you know what I mean? All right, so we got our spices and stuff in there. As I said, we're not gonna actually use this as the broth, but that is going to be the liquid that we poach, boil, whatever you want to call, poach sounds better, poach our chicken with. All right, so I've got my chicken breasts. Let's get them in the pond. I forgot who said that, who used to say that. It was a TV cook I watch all the time. Anyway, or maybe on YouTube. All right, so I'm gonna get all our chicken in there. And now this is a little bit longer of a method than if you use a store-bought rotisserie chicken. Now, if you're gonna use the store-bought rotisserie chicken, you're gonna take the skin off, remove as much fat as possible, debone it, take all the meat off the bone and shred it. In this case, we're gonna have to wait for this to cook. So I thought, well, we are cooking, so we might as well cook the chicken. It's not that difficult. So we're gonna bring this to a boil, and then you're gonna let it simmer for about 45 minutes. Then you wanna cool it enough to where you can handle it. And once we're at that stage, we'll be back with the rest of our recipe. Okay, guys, so as you've seen earlier, we made up our stock to boil our chicken in, and I put the chicken in, brought it to a boil, turned it down to simmer, and let it simmer for about 45 minutes. Then I shut it off and I let it cool down in the broth. In the meantime, I went to the supermarket, I did some window shopping, but now we're ready to go on with our recipe. So, as you can see here, I've already shredded the chicken, but I took it out, put it into a big bowl, and just gonna shred it like that. By the way, the stock that I cooked the chicken in was delicious. But I decided, because I'm trying to, put this in as a recipe so you guys will have amounts that I used. I didn't throw that out. I'm gonna make a small batch of chicken soup with it tomorrow and freeze it, and we'll have it when we want. So anyway, I shredded up our chicken. I've got our 8 cups of chicken broth warming up. I'm gonna turn that up in a second. And of course, it's up to you. How you want to shred the chicken. I think I'm probably gonna, I ended up having a lot more chicken once it's shredded than I thought I would, so I think I'll adjust the amounts a little bit in the recipe, of course. All right, so you can shred that up as much as you like into small pieces. I had to resist the urge to get in there and pull it apart with my hands just because I didn't want to get all messy. All right, let's put this up too high and get it to boil for us. All right, in the meantime, I've got a half of a sweet onion here. Now, I'm putting this in because the recipe in that famous highway restaurant, I saw what's it called? Not like the recipe from the company, but a copycat recipe for it. And there's, they put some onion in it. So I'm gonna slice them relatively thin. It doesn't have to be paper thin, but, so I just cut it in half. I'm not gonna worry about dicing it. This will cook up and get nice and soft and hopefully just kind of blend in with the chicken. All right, so put that in our pot now. All right, before I do anything else, we want to bring that to a boil anyway. Now, in one of the recipes I've been kind of adopting, oh, and by the way, we might use a little bit of cornstarch to thicken it up at the end. We'll see what it is. So in both of the recipes I looked at, and Paula Deen's recipe, which I'm not surprised, it calls for a half a stick of unsalted butter. Now, I'm assuming that's probably because we're using, skinned and all the fat removed chicken, and that butter will help the sauce to thicken up a little bit from the dumplings. All right, so in the other recipe I've kind of adapted, she used 2 cups of Bisquick and a third of a cup of milk. I'm going to double that, and we'll see how many we end up with, and then I'll adjust the recipe to it. So this is 4 cups of Bisquick. All right, and we can start to mix our milk in there. And we'll see if we can end up with what looked like the consistency of hers. I did, thanks, Wade. I did put the Bisquick in thinking, all right, they're not gonna see me mess up my counter. But,
like the tradition.
yeah. I hate flour. So I can tell. I put that all in because I think, there we go. We're going to definitely need more milk than that. Maybe I'm going to do another third, so we'll know what I put in there. Maybe my cup was a little generous. I think we're definitely going to need that all. We don't use Bisquick very often, do we, hon? I think at one time we may have done pancakes with it. May have gone through a phase where we made pancakes, but I don't know. Yeah, we're definitely gonna need some more milk. So let's go another third. So that was 4 times a third. So that would be a cup and a half, right? 2/3, yeah. Now we don't want it like pancake batter. We do want it a little loose. Again, like I said, I'm doubling this because I'm not quite sure how many dumplings we're gonna use. All right, hers was a bit thinner than that. I'm gonna add another third. So now we're at about 2 cups of milk or water. But again, that's gonna be for a double batch. Yeah, now there's some milk on the counter too. All right, I think that's gonna be perfect. All right, I'm gonna pick it up. I don't have very strong hands. Yep, I think that's about exactly what it was once we get it all mixed. So, of course, the reason Bisquick has already got, its own baking powder or baking soda, whatever they put in it, so it's already self-rising. That looks good. I'm not sure how you can gauge that, but it's staying on the spoon for a second and falling off. That looks just like hers did. Let's clean that mess up. That scared me. That's the ice maker. On the other side of this wall is not really a porch. I don't know what we'd call it. It's not a lanai. It's not a porch. It's the front entrance of our house. And I put Wade puts them up for me, but we put usually decorative, some type of decorative stuff, banners or something out there. When it's windy, they're always rattling around. All right. I might need that. Ooh, and look at that. We're just about starting to come to a boil. Let's give this a little, because we're almost done with making our chicken and dumplings. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of chicken in there. Let's give it a little bit of a stir. I'll put some chicken in so that's the chicken on the bottom. So when you're making biscuits, or dumplings I should say, you want to make sure you start with your water boiling. Now I haven't added any additional salt or pepper to this. We'll save that. We'll give it a taste at our final when it's done. This is quite a bit of chicken. I think it's probably going to end up about 2.5 pounds. That's really kind of depends upon how much chicken you want in it, what your budget is for your chicken. Since this was chicken and dumplings, I wanted it to be really chickeny and have lots of dumplings. Okay. My hands a little rinse. I'm gonna let that come back to a boil. Stepping on the cord there. I don't know what I use those for, so. Now, what I'm gonna do, of course you could just do this by spoon. Say maybe big heaping tablespoon. I'm gonna try I'm gonna get a couple different sizes. All right, so we got, I believe, what's a 1/4 cup scoop. You'd think it would be on there, right? But I can't see it. I believe it's a 1/4, and I believe that's a cup. All right, so we're gonna bring this back up to the boil. Like I said, we got our cornstarch. If we want to thicken it, we'll see how much our dumplings thicken it. It smells delicious. Like I said, the broth that, what turned into stock, I guess, from boiling the chicken was very delicious. All right, let's see, while we're waiting for that to boil, what else is going on? Anything exciting, hun?
Not with me.
Nah, it's been a boring. He got a new receiver for his, there's always something coming to the house, and it's him, not me. Was that a receiver for the TV system?
Yep.
Because the receiver he had, although I think you had that receiver when you met me, which is over 30 years ago, we're going to be actually celebrating our 32nd anniversary in just a couple weeks. What are you going to get me?
You're gonna get me.
That's a surprise, but you know I don't like surprises. So, but anyway, so that receiver lasted him long. What kind was what was the name brand of that one? Do you know? Tech. Do they? I wonder if they TEAC. I wonder if they even make that anymore. If that company's still around. But that, and you probably had it for 5 or 6 years before you met me. So, all right, we've come to a boil. All right, so we're going to take our scoop. And you can plunge that right into your water. Which will help it come out. And we're just gonna go along the sides. Now, this method will keep it a little bit more in shape, I suppose. So give it a plunge down. What do we got? We got 4 big ones there. Let's start 4 small ones. Let's try a couple big ones. Although, they're going to cook at a different time, I guess so. But we're going to let this cook through. That's looking delicious. I'm going to do 4 big ones. And I'm just barely trying to keep them not from touching each other, just so that it doesn't, all stick together. So I'm going to get them all in. And one of the recipes I watched said the trick to getting drop dumplings not to break apart is once you get them all in, turn down your heat. All right, I'm going to say we're going to get at least 1 more in there. So I think 2 cups would have been perfect. So we're going to keep this recipe at 2 cups of Bisquick. All right, so we're going to turn this down to, so I was on high till it came to a boil. And we're going to turn it down to medium. And we're going to let those cook. I don't think you have to cover it, although it won't hurt, right? It'll keep some of that warm. All right, so then we're going to let those cook for, I'm going to say 10 minutes, simmer for 10 minutes. Then when we come back, we're going to add some more chicken, and we'll see how thick it is if we want to thicken it up. So see you in about 10 minutes. All right, it's been 10 minutes. Let's take the lid off. Ooh, it's been bubbling away. All right, we're going to give it just a little gentle stir. My dumplings are a bit big. I think next time I would use the little scoop. But they are holding together. So far at least. They're nice and fluffy. They're firm. And they should be done. They are gonna. I think that's thick enough. The broth. I don't think it needs to be thickened at all, because we don't want it to be like, gravy. Add a little bit more chicken in there. Oop. Save a little. we can make some chicken salad tomorrow. Have it with his breakfast. Just kind of gently trying to get my dumplings to turn over. So those were the big ones, and those were the smaller ones. Yep, I'm going to give that a quick taste test, I should say. Yeah, see, I think that's good. And it probably will thicken up a little bit as everything heats through. I think that's delicious. I made a little tiny bit of pepper. Start freshening it up. And I'll add a couple pinches of salt. Although I think it's pretty good as it is, but that won't harm it. And stir that together. Yeah, my dumplings are, I think we're only going to need one dumpling per serving. All right, guys. There you have it. I really think I like that consistency of it. What do you think, hon? You want a little thicker?
Looks good to me.
You sure? We'll thicken it up just a tad, just to show them. All right, so of course, what I always use is 1/4 cup cornstarch. And since we got the milk right there, so Lisa, this is for you. All right, you're watching closely, right? There will be a quiz. And 1/4 cup of milk or cold water. And stir it together. Make sure there's no lumps. So, and again, Lisa, so part of the test, this is a slurry, cornstarch slurry. Yeah, I always start with 1/4 cup. I don't think I've ever needed to add more, but I may not use all of this, but that's okay. Then if we just pour it right into our bubbly part there, you can see it almost instantly thickens. I think that's good. Let's get it mixed all around. All right, and we'll give it one more little drop. And our chicken and dumplings is done. I hope it tastes as delicious as it smells. All right, we'll see you guys at dinner time in a little bit. Okay, again, best part, it's supper time! Yay! So tonight we've got a nice little Caesar salad and cut up a few pieces of French bread, but we already said, well, we have flour. We have flour in the dumplings, and we actually got some croutons too, so we're really bread heavy, or wheat heavy. Yeah. All right, so what do you think? Want to try the soup first? And then go in for a dumpling. Wade asked, of course, after we were done, how do you tell if the dumplings are done? They should be fluffy. If you want to take one out, cut it in half. It should be, it shouldn't be doughy inside, but they look good to me. So. The chicken part is good. Yeah, very tasty. Excuse my slurping. All right, let's try it.
Actually, the consistency is good.
Yep.
It's kind of nice to thicken up a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad I thickened it up a little bit. You want to go in for your dumplings? And the dumpling, it's got little holes and so little, like almost like a pancake.
Wow.
It's not chewy. It's really soft. I don't know how to describe the taste.
Yeah, kind of.
Almost like mashed potatoes. No?
Kind of melts in your mouth. Yeah.
Delicious. It
good.
does have that little bit of the Bisquick
That does.
flavor to it, which is kind of like the baking powder or whatever they use. But anyway, I love it.
It is delicious. It is pretty good.
Now, the only thing I would do, and like I said, I'll probably reduce the meat a little bit, and I would probably use a smaller scoop for the dumplings. Those dumplings came out real big.
Yeah. First time making it.
Yeah. This is literally the first time I've ever made this. So. All right.
Like real good.
That's all I get to say.
You got Cat in the background saying please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And check out
Hi, Sheldon.
CherryHillHomeCooking.com. See you in the next video.
Ciao.
Bye.